Hey, good day, folks. Welcome to another episode of Andrew's Life. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day so far. I thought I would come back and make this video to add to my series of other videos in concerns to, I guess, the sale of my house here in Indiana. Now, right now, it's a busy time. This is typically the busiest time of the year for real estate for many people. Some of you, maybe you're already out here trying to look for that deal for that vacation home. I mean, there's people out here that, maybe you got a little bit of money, maybe you got some money burning a hole in your pocket, and you're wanting to go out here and purchase that vacation home. And I'm not gonna lie, I was among those people. Hence the reason why I purchased my home here in Indiana initially back in September. But I want to warn you guys against doing that. I mean, obviously, if you choose to do that, it's not a sin, but, here's a few reasons why, here's a few things you ought to think about before you do it. And these are the reasons why I will never ever again purchase a vacation home / a second home. And these reasons are in no particular order, but the first reason is, well, really, the majority of these reasons have to do with financing. But before I get to the financial aspect of it all, first I want to get to, let's talk about the squatting rights, which does kind of tie into the financial aspect. Now, recently, many cities throughout this country, people have complained about squatters squatting in their houses and their local law enforcement not doing anything about it and just telling them that, hey, it's a civil matter, nothing we can do. You're going to have to take them through the eviction process and so on and so forth. Now, although this is not no legal advice, I am not a lawyer. I'm just simply I guess, regurgitating what other people have been through and what I've seen on the media in terms of what other people have been through. I'm just regurgitating, I'm not gonna lie. But I'm the kind of person that if I can learn from other people, then it's gonna save myself a lot of headache, because I'm not going to be making the same mistakes they made, which is the reason why I make this video. Anyways, let's keep going. So one concern which I have being a homeowner is squatters. Now, like I said, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know the squatter rights laws to here in Indiana. All I know is if I go somewhere for several months, like I'm down in Alabama for, let's say, 6-7 months. When I come back here to Indiana, and if for any reason there's somebody that's in my house, the way it looks to me is, now granted, if I catch them on, if I catch them on camera, breaking into my house, I can call law enforcement, and to my understanding, if I do, at that point it will be trespassing. It will be a crime, and they'll have to get that person out, and then they can arrest that person and treat it as if it was a crime. Because at that point, to my understanding, it will still be a criminal matter. However, if the person breaks into my house and I don't become aware of it until I come back up here to Indiana several months later, at that point it's no longer considered a criminal offense. It's now a civil matter, which means I will have to take it up with the court system and put them through the eviction process, which, for those of you that dealt with that, you understand that it's a bunch of headache. You're going to be spending thousands of dollars on legal representation along with other fees. And to my knowledge, with an eviction, you also have to pay the local sheriff to be present on eviction day. And then after you go through all that, there's no guarantee of what the condition of your home is going to look like. There's no guarantee of whether your home is even going to be habitable. I mean, for all you know, the people that might squat in your home, they may have issues with illegal substances, and your house might be a lab. So, but you get your house back, you might have to pay even more money to have some type of a special hazard chemical team, I forgot what you call them, to go in and clean your house and get rid of all the residue that may be in your house from when they may have been in your home cooking. So when I think of all the what ifs in concerns to leaving any of my houses vacant for too long, I think of all that, and we're thinking of all that. I also, let's talk about some of the expenses. Now, obviously, to avoid having to deal with the whole squatting situation, anyone that breaks into your house, the best way that I know to keep it a criminal manner, this is my understanding, I'm not a lawyer, this is just my understanding, is I would need to install some cameras, which I do got cameras in both of my houses. Now, the money I gotta pay to monitor those cameras from a long distance, the cost is not too much. I pay like $20 a month. Between the cameras and the house alarm, I pay like $30, which, that's not too much. But you multiply that by 2, you're looking at $60 a month. And then you gotta also take into consideration, if you're gonna own a second house, you now have an extra set of utility bills to pay. You now have an extra set of property taxes to pay. Property taxes, utilities, homeowners insurance. And speaking of homeowners insurance, and if with many homeowners insurance holders, companies, typically there's gonna be a clause. And again, I'm not a lawyer, so you want to consult with your local lawyers and attorneys for what I'm getting ready to say. But typically, there's going to be a clause somewhere in the policies when you get ready to sign on and purchase homeowners insurance that if your home is vacant for X amount of time or longer, your home is considered abandoned, and therefore your homeowners insurance will be mal-awarded. So if your home is considered vacant and your house catches on fire, or someone breaks in and they do heavy vandalism, and then you try to go and take out a claim, your insurance company will do their due diligence, and if it's found, according to them, that your home has been quote-unquote abandoned, then your insurance company will not cover you. Now, can you take it to court and fight it? Of course you can. Is there a chance of you winning? It's possible. But the amount of money and time that you're going to have to spend to fight that is going to be a crap load of money, a crap load of time, and it's going to be a ton of headaches on top of that. So that's something else that you need to think about if you're going to go and purchase a second home. You're going to go and purchase that vacation home. So you got two sets. You got utility. You got extra set of utility bills, property taxes, homeowners insurance. Plus you gotta pay to have some type of security measures on, like house alarm, camera, and also you also gotta take into consideration yard service. Now, depending on how big your lot is, if you got a regular city size lot, then you'll probably you'll have to cut your yard maybe twice a month. You might be looking at about $100. If you have a bigger lot like a half acre or an acre or something larger like that, then you could be looking at a couple $100 a month. if not more, depending on where you live and all that type of stuff. And let's see what else. And of course, even though you may not be in a house for, let's say, half the year because you're snowbirding, or it's your vacation home, so you're only there for a few months out of the year, even though you may not be there but for a few months out of the year or half the year at the most, you still have to allow money for home repairs. Because while you're gone from the house, you still have to keep on your electricity. That way you can run your air during the summertime. You can run enough air in your home to where you're not gonna come back to your second home or whatever, and it's gonna be mold infested due to the lack of proper air circulation. And then of course during the winter time, depending on where you're at, you're going to need to keep on a little bit of heat. That way your windows and your walls don't collect too much condensation, and then after a while all that turns into mold, and then your house can be mold infested, and your house could become mold infested eventually. So yeah, you buy a second home, you're gonna have to keep on your utilities. Now, if your second home is up north, in many cases you might have to keep on your gas. So in the wintertime you can run some heat. So you got your electric, your gas. Now, depending on where you live, if you go away, you can have them cut off your water, and then you're not gonna have to pay that monthly water bill. They'll just keep your water off, and then when you come back, they cut you back on, and then you pay whatever you pay. Now, there's some cities, at least here in Indiana, where, yeah, they'll cut your water off, but you're gonna still have to pay a certain amount of money every month, just because you're connected to their system. So there's certain cities where the water might be, let's say, $100 a month, but you tell them you're gonna be gone, okay, they tell you they're gonna cut the water off, but then they're gonna still charge you maybe $40 a month just to keep you, just because your house is connected to their system. So you gotta be leery of that too. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and break down the numbers for you. I'm not gonna break down numbers here, but what I will tell you is, the cost for me to own a second home was $650 a month. So yeah, I figure the cost for me to own my second home, when I factor in, all my utilities, my homeowner's insurance, repair and maintenance, yard service, and all that type of good stuff, my cost per month to own a second home is $650. And my attitude is, now, I know some of you are thinking, okay, $650, that's less than what I pay for rent. Okay, I get it, I got it. But when it comes to a second home, a home that I don't need, I just want, I'm thinking $650 a month. If I took that money and put it in a retirement fund, in some type of a Roth IRA or in a mutual fund, and this is not financial advice, this is just something that I do personally, I just think of this over the next 10-20 years, how much that money can multiply in compound interest. And of course, the money that I pay for the house initially, take all that money, put it in a retirement fund of some sort, and let that crap multiply compound interest, an average of, let's say, 8% annually. And for those of you that might want to buy that second home on a mortgage, take that money that you pay for your mortgage, along with all the additional money that you'll pay for utilities and all that crap. You know, you take that money and you put it in a retirement fund, or you put it in a Roth, or you put it in some kind of a mutual fund or some stuff. Just think of how much money you can accumulate towards your retirement for the next 10, 20 years or so. And another, so yeah, so, and my thought is, I love to travel. And eventually, I ain't gonna be working on 9 to 5. I ain't gonna be working on 9 to 5. I'm gonna go back to doing gig work and just doing stuff on the side for money and just traveling the country. Eventually, I'm gonna go back to that. When, I don't know. But when I do go back to traveling extensively again, my attitude is, for me anyway, for me, it would make a lot more sense to go out, buy me maybe a full-size van, rig it out to where I can live out of it for several months at a time, and then I can go and boondock somewhere. I mean, for me, something like that would make a lot more sense financially than to go out and purchase a second home. I mean, not only will it be cheaper by the month, but the initial investment, if you will be a lot lower, because it's going to cost me far less money to purchase a full-size van and build it out into a camper compared to the money that I would have to spend to purchase a home that's not in the freaking ghetto. Even if I were to buy a house in the ghetto, I'm going to still end up spending more money on that setup than I would just buying a full-size van and just, you know, rigging it, you know, and just turning it into a camper, basically. So those are my thoughts on why, those are my reasons, rather, on why it is that I would never, ever again buy a second home. So for those of you that are thinking about buying a second home, hopefully this video helped you out. Hopefully this video helped you come closer to making a informed decision. So on that note, stay blessed. Catch you guys on the next one.